Our next speaker is Kashif Rustamani, a young anthropologist who is a PhD student of anthropology at Louisiana State University. Kashif Rustamani will speak on social change in Pakistani village, the impact of modernization of the local way of life in Wahipandi, a small town in Dadus Johi. Over to you, Kashif.
Thank you, Dr. Zulfiqar. All right, folks, good afternoon. My name is Kashif, as Dr. Zulfiqar said. So today I'm going to talk about my research that I conducted like a couple of years ago. I have set the timer. Before I begin my presentation, I want to shout out to Dr. Zulfiqar, who has been my teacher, a mentor, and now a friend over the years, and my anthropologist colleagues who have organized this, and that's why I'm here. So yeah, here we go. So this is a kind of zoom out map of where I conducted my research. It's somewhere in Sindh, right? So it's also kind of, a lot of folks that has been recognized as indigenous communities all over the world. And this is a kind of schematic map of showing us how many indigenous communities are, and specifically studied by anthropologists. So this one kind of, as you see, there's a circle which shows those communities are sort of highlighted over there. Further kind of zooming in, as you can see, my locale is kind of 300 miles far away from Karachi. It was a village. I don't consider it a village now, and it was kind of consisted of 22 sub-villages of different tribes and ethnic groups were residing there. So trying to go next. Okay, so as I said, it was conducted during in between 2015 and 2018 on two ethnographic trips I did for my master's and MPhil research. One of the four objectives that I wanted to explore was to understand the material conditions of people, and then by understanding the material conditions, I can understand how the change has happened over time. So the second objective was to examine how historically this region has changed, in what ways the changes occurred, and what is the intensity of the change. So by using different conceptual frameworks, and the one I used was historical materialism, which is kind of a cultural barrel which tells us about the three structures of a society: infrastructure, economic structure, and superstructure. And all of those structures have different components of culture and society and different elements, right? So as you can see here, infrastructure is, as it is, something that provides a base for an economic activity and social activity. And economic structure includes social relations and relations of production. And superstructure is more like a dominant ideas or values and norms and belief systems. So, yep. And again, this is a locale, and there are a few pictures. So I looked, the field of study was like, if you can look at on the left side of the slide, it's a spatial overview of how interpenetrating, different livelihoods are kind of interpenetrating in one side. So there's a subsistence agriculture, there's pastoralism, there's intensive agriculture, and the market economy, which is more like now neoliberal economy. So, and the map shows the kind of sketchy, rough site where I did my study. All right, so, my findings were that the change was slow, but it has changed over time. And there are a few things that came out during my research that I wanted to share with you is that the change has impacted the language, identity, and overall residence patterns. And through those kind of elements, I came to conclusion that these changes are happening in those elements, and and beyond, right? So I added this one thing as like they speak Sindhi, Saraiki, Balochi, now Urdu, and English is also being like introduced in that area, right? And then the most important thing that happened in that village was the introduction of intensive agriculture after Green Revolution, right? So that brought a lot of technology, infrastructure, connectivity, and more so, it took people out of the village into the cities, and when they came back, it all kind of changed the dynamics of the village. And at the same time, a lot of people who lived outside of the town, never been in the town, came to the town to do economic activities, and this kind of brought a demographic change to the town. So this is kind of the idea which I kind of borrowed from Joseph Assef's, and his book is on social change in a Spanish village. So I wanted to just kind of condense my knowledge into this small presentation. As yesterday, a lot of people talked about, specifically, I think Professor Leon was selling that the agriculture cycle was dependent on the rain and the calendar according to the rain when rain was happening. But now when I went there, in a lot of rural areas, those things has been like drastically changed since the Green Revolution, and more so since the climate change, right? Yeah, and this is kind of my findings that I just, kind of edit here. So as I said, the Green Revolution was one of the most important thing that happened in that area and changed the dynamics of the livelihood, because a lot of people were pastorals and then they kind of transitioned into agriculture. And well, with this transition, many things have changed. Their residence patterns, their family style, and the language, and more so new things came in, and then those kind of have like a ripple effect on everything. So they also used to do subsistence farming, which is now really minuscule or rare. And this is one picture that shows how the subsistence farming was kind of practiced, like old irrigation system, right? Using the creek water and natural creeks. Yep, as I said, pastoralism was one of the main livelihoods. Now I think it's like on the margins. This is how they used to migrate, as you can see in the picture, and then I have collected data how and how and where they were, like how long they were staying, by just asking them the questions and through the oral histories, right? Yep, and then yeah, that's me conducting interview somewhere in 2018. This is kind of. Next is a portrait of an pastoral semi-nomadic family who posed for a picture, and like on the backdrop you can see they have their kind of makeshift camp where they used to live for a couple of months and then they move depending on the season change, right? But those instances, these are like kind of fading away because of this modernization and the intensification of agriculture, but more so the climate change and precarious livelihoods, right? So when I asked them like how this, what they think of this change, the transition, and a lot of local, who I call native people who live there, hold their life there, and their forefathers lived there, have kind of different opinions. I think I don't have enough time to read it, but these are the perspectives that I took into, like really into my analysis of different people I interviewed over the time. And then education was also kind of social force into the modernization, and which I also kind of focused about what they think of education, right? So these are the perspectives of like kind of small exits from interviews that I conducted. and the existing social organization in that village or in, I think it will like resonate in many rural areas in Pakistan as well, like especially in Baloch and Sindhi tribes, that we kind of distinguish our tribal hierarchies into tribes and sub-tribes and then clans, and then they kind of change over time with the generation. So this is what I came up with, right? And this is one example of the tribe that I studied, or caste, you can say, Jamali, and how they kind of divide their tribe into sub-tribes and clans, and how it's kind of impact their residence preferences as well. Family structure. So this is the family structure is one of the major indication of change, like modernization. From joint extended families to the nuclear families was also found there, right? So, yep. And then it kind of, we can trace a lot of variables out of it too in that study, right? So, moving to, I just, and these are a few points of analysis that I already have talked about, and I have only 1 minute left. So I want to kind of emphasize on what I want to do next. As I've seen, the agriculture is now most important factor in rural Pakistan, especially in rural Sindh. So my PhD research that I want to take forward and do it now is what are the economic and social issues local farmers are facing, and also keeping the climate change and evolving agricultural practices in the view, and also the inadequate state policies that are leading to the discrimination against those small and local farmers. So I will be happy to chat with you after this presentation or Q&A. So thank you.
Thank you, Kashif Rustamani, for interesting ethnographic perspective from one of the most difficult terrains in Sindh, that is Khiter. And I think it's very interesting study that he is doing in that part of region. So best wishes for your research. I just wanted to thank every speaker. They spoke on very important topics under the broader category or theme of urbanization and issues of preservation of cultural heritage. As we all know that, unfortunately, mushroom, if we talk about urbanization, mushroom growth of housing schemes are eating up our cultural landscape. Not only in Sindh but other parts of Pakistan as well. And I really appreciate the last speaker that he briefly touched on the socio-cultural landscape, and I'm very much familiar with the landscape that he was talking about in Khiter. We know that how natural landscape is being converted into cultural landscape by the culture group. So anyways, with this I open floor for question answers, and we will take 5 questions because of shortage of time. So floor is open for question and answers. Please ask questions if you have any.